Professor Dr. Bindhumol, Sri K. Venu, Dr. Lily Jose, Parvati Miss, Dr. Shinsi, Dr. Prince, dear colleagues, my dear students, good morning. It gives me immense pleasure and deep sense of responsibility to welcome you to this one-day workshop conducted by Center for Medical Law in association with Chikitsa Nidhi Thrissur, that is titled Invisible Barriers, Reproductive Justice, Disability and the Cause for Autonomy. The title of the workshop itself is thought-provoking. Our Constitution guarantees justice, equality, dignity, personal liberty. Sudha Srivastava versus Chandigarh administration, that case law guarantees reproductive right. But in reality, there are certain obstacles which are real in everyday life. That is, accessibility to healthcare, medical consultations, where consent is assumed rather than informed consent, rather than real consent. In Indian context, reproductive justice can be understood in relation to social hierarchies, economic inequality, patriarchy, deeply rooted perceptions of disability. Here, why the framework of reproductive justice is so important. We know that it is when it is reproductive right, that is right of the couple to decide freely, responsibly, number, timing, and of their children, and their capacity to decide the same without any coercion. They must have access to information. But here our focus is on reproductive justice. Here it asks whether this right exists, but who can actually access them. For women with disabilities, it is often reproductive autonomy that is often constrained not by law alone but by social stigma, economic dependence, institutional neglect. Disability, as we know, it does not exist in isolation. It intersects with gender, class, caste, socio-economic status. One of the most serious concern that this workshop that draws attention is one aspect, that is medical paternalism. Who is the decision maker with regard to a woman with a disability? Whether it is in the when there is lack of capacity that is based on best interest of that person, who is the decision maker, whether it is the medical doctor or whether the caregiver, there is whether that person is have the reproductive autonomy we are discussing, whether that person's decision making capacity, whether it is respected by the system. That is, the decision is taken for women with disabilities in the name of protection, in the name of convenience. This is where the question of consent that becomes crucial. That is, it is not a aspect of formality. It is the expression of autonomy. Law must not only exist, it must work. At the same time, we must acknowledge the powerful role played by advocacy and social movements, that is disability right movement in India, that is instrumental in shifting the discourse from charity to rights, from dependence to autonomy. When disability rights advocacy intersects with feminist and reproductive justice movements, it creates the possibility of meaningful change. Legal reform, social awareness, community engagement, and strategic litigation must work together. Ethical considerations, that is also equally central to this discussion. Questions surrounding assisted reproduction, contraception, sterilization, medical research that require sensitivity and accountability. Healthcare system must move away from control and move towards care grounded in respect, inclusion, and support decision making. This workshop's emphasis on community networks, peer support systems, and cross-disciplinary dialogue is there extremely that is significant. Law cannot operate in isolation from healthcare, social work, education, and public policy. And as we engage with global perspectives and international best practices, we must also ensure that reforms are rooted in local realities. Dear participants and students, this workshop is not merely an academic exercise. It is an invitation to listen, to question, and to reflect. As future lawyers, judges, policymakers, and scholars, you will shape the institution of tomorrow. I urge you to carry forward the values of empathy, inclusion, and justice into your professional lives. Before I conclude, I wish to place on record my sincere appreciation for the organizing committee, faculty members, and student volunteers who have worked tirelessly to make this workshop possible. I also extend my heartfelt gratitude to our distinguished speakers and participants whose insights will greatly enrich today's deliberations. It is my sincere hope that this workshop will lead to deeper understanding, meaningful dialogue, and concrete action, whether through research, advocacy, policy reform, or legal practice. Let this workshop be a step towards dismantling invisible barriers and towards affirming the autonomy, dignity, and rights of women with disabilities. Thank you.